How's it going, everybody? It is Lockhart here, your official content creator for Aether Gazer, and I wanted to talk about something that's kind of been on my mind, and it is basically whether or not Aether Gazer will survive. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we have games like Wuthering Waves, Endless Zone Zero, Solo Leveling, games that are kind of like that action RPG with that gacha mixed into it. You can call them hack and slashes, I guess, but I don't think they're hack and slashes because Dynasty Warriors, that was a hack and slash. You know, games like those I consider hack and slash. But there are games that have come out and some have totally failed, like Devil May Cry, Peak Combat. Like that was crazy. I would never ever again, unless they release like Zero from Mega Man into that game as a collab unit. I probably will never even touch that game ever. But I wanted to talk about it because like all these games are coming out, and again, it's something that's kind of like on the top of my mind. So we're gonna dig in. It's gonna be a long one, but try to stay with me, you know. So let's start off with the fact that obviously this is my opinion. I don't know if anybody's actually talking about this at all, or even has a concern, or if it's even brought up. But this, what I'm about to talk about, is strictly from my perspective. You know, I may have seen some things online, whether it's Reddit or other YouTube videos. If I do come across something that I can link to those, I will bring it up as well. But for now, let's just maintain the fact that, you know, this is just from my point of view. Now, let's start off with like the type of gamer I am, because it's kind of really important, because again, this is my opinion. So I have grown very attached to gacha games because some of my first introduction to gacha games were games like Brave Frontier or Seven Knights 1 and DFFOO and FFRK, even Mobius, Arc Knights, all those games that kind of came out in the 7-8 years ago, when it was kind of like the gacha was really just kind of rolling out. Those were like some of the staples. Like again, FFRK and Seven Knights were definitely top 2 picks for sure for a long time. Brave Frontier was there as well. And so I like gacha games because it's something I can have on my mobile device, because I am on the go a lot. I don't have time, or a lot of time, to sit and play games for like hours at a time. So console gaming was really hard. When the Switch came out, I was really happy, because that I had to travel a lot in my previous job. Like I was like weeks at a time out of the house, and so I couldn't just play a console, and I never had a PC strong enough to play any PC games. So the Switch was like an amazing in-between. But gacha games were just kind of like that thing that worked really well for me, you know? So when it came to like what kind of commitments I had a lot. And now I have more so. Like I'm a husband, I am a dad of 2, and I have a full-time job that is my career, and I enjoy it a lot. So I put a lot of effort into making sure that I can do very well at my work. And so those things are kind of like really important. But when it comes to like gacha games now, it really does need to be able to fit my lifestyle. You know, like I'm not gonna play a game where I have to control the character every single time for like hours on end. You know, if there's no form of good auto, I might not be able to play the game. Like it might not be it might be something I'll have to skip on, because it's just too much to do and it requires too much focus, you know? So I play games like War of the Visions. War of the Visions is really auto friendly, and they've worked really hard on making it happen. Higan Arufio has a decent auto system that lets you use that you can kind of like tailor your teams together, build them in a way that doesn't really have such a negative effect if you're like mixing and matching, and doesn't have a super positive effect by having mono element teams. You know, Honkai Star Rail is not too bad either. I've recently started on the new Atelier game that came out. Eminence of the Shadow I've kind of picked up on, and I try gacha games when they come out every now and then. Final Fantasy VII, Ever Crisis, okay auto, horrible farming mechanics. If you've ever played Ever Crisis, you'll kind of know what I mean. You know, like when you don't restart the stage right away, that's like super annoying. Like, why? Like, honestly, like, why? So that kind of gives you an idea of like the kind of gamer that I am currently, you know, in my state of life. You know, I got a lot going on, so I just don't have that time to like focus on a game that just is really time consuming, that requires a lot of you being on the game, playing the game, as kind of lame as it sounds, you know. But from what I've seen, there are a lot of folks who kind of, you know, are in the same boat as me, so it's nice, you know, whether they're constantly on the go or they're just in the exact same situation. They love video games, but gacha games are the only ones that fit into their lifestyle. So how does Aether Gazer cater to me? As you kind of saw just now, some of the things, it is semi-auto. It's not a full auto game by any means, but it's a semi-auto game. So like, that's really nice. Like, I can just do some of my farming stages, which when you get to my level and you've played it for a little bit, honestly, and it did not take long to get to this point. At least for me, it didn't. You kind of just do 2 stages, go to the shop. Like, you do 2 stages times 4. You go to the shop, you buy a couple things, your dailies are done. And throughout the week, you end up finishing your weeklies by the time it's like Friday. So you have 2 extra days to like catch up on, just in case you're like super behind, right? Battle passes, if you play in that way, battle passes might not be something that you like complete every single time, but if you do everything, which again does not take a lot of time, you'll end up finishing the battle pass way ahead of schedule also. And that's really nice, you know, being able to like do your dailies and take like a couple minutes here and there. If I forget throughout the day and I'm like, man, I only have like 20 minutes left to like at least do my dailies, I can do it in 5. Like, I can, like, the 2 stages don't take that long, you know, and that's nice. And over the time, like the course of the game, you do get some pretty decent materials. Like, as you farm, as you play, as you go through like the reward, like some of the stages offer, like, you know, you open up like the little loot boxes, you get extra materials for leveling up and stuff. It's really easy to level up your characters and have them ready to go. Like, I will give you an example, right? So currently level 30. Well, let's see. I've been leveling up a lot of characters, and I'm going to get this character to level 80. And like, over time, I've leveled up a lot of characters, and because like the team building in this game is like really easy, you end up farming extra materials really fast, you know, and it doesn't take all that much effort. And just like that, now she's at least level 80, which is max level. Now I'm going to go to her weapon, which you can pull the functor, and the functor is kind of like light cone in terms of like what's it called, a light cone in terms of, I guess, Honkai Star Rail, or weapon, but like really it's not the weapon. It's like what kind of unlocks the characters to being able to do more. So I guess it's more like a light cone, whatever, and then you actually do have the weapon, which kind of helps you do damage, whatever. And so like, again, I'm like, I'll just do this a little bit faster. I'm doing it like slow, but there you go. So I've maxed my weapon. I put on a light cone, which you don't have to level per se, but most of the times you can get a single copy, and if the character is double S, it gets an extra 2 levels, which is more than enough, which is pretty good for some of the better characters. I need to get the sigils. That's where it takes a little bit longer. Warps, just to get it to the next level. Codes, which you get over playing the character, and stuff like that. But for the most part, I've already done... Oh, wait, sorry. The last thing I need to do is levels. But maxing out the levels, again, you know, if you're farming properly and using your time wisely, you'll be able to get the you'll be able to get the materials so you can level up all the skills to as high as they can go. And then the rest of it is a little what you would consider sweatier, right? Like, you're starting to roll for like substats and stuff like that. So in just a little bit, I maxed out the characters' levels, their weapon levels, and the skills will take not that much longer. I'll get the proper sigils based on how I want to use her, whether it's support or whatever. and she's more or less usable now, you know? And that's awesome. That's with every character at this point. So like I got this guy. I haven't gotten around to using him yet, but his levels maxed, his skills are maxed, his access key is maxed. He has like the one functor, which is like super random. And now I just gotta collect all of his sigils, work on his codes, and I'll be able to use him like effectively, like how you're supposed to. And I find that like the game is really generous in that, because it's also like a way for it to respect your time. So if you pull a new character, so like I'll give you an example. So Gongchen, which is a new character that I got, like her sigils don't take a lot to farm up, because you can basically buy the sigils at a certain point in time, which takes like next to nothing, and then you can just basically all you have to do afterwards, which doesn't take long to level up any of these things, because you always like you end up with a decent amount. You start rolling for like stats, which I haven't even started yet. Once you reconstruct, you can exceed to the next level, and that'll be great. And then you got to work on the warps. The warps are, again, most of them are self-explanatory, and almost dummy-proof. You go through. Oops, I still haven't done this yet. Oopsie daisies, which I will do right now. And then just tailor the character to how you want them to be, so that way they can either go to the AI, or you can control them yourself, you know, which is awesome. And then like there's chips here, which help tailor the AI to doing what you want them to do. You know, not everybody has that, but that is pretty great. So the catering portion to Aether Gazer for me is that like the game is made easy right now, and it's been easy for a while, and I like that this portion where like I can get a character and feel like I can use them right away is so essential to like that infusion of like dopamine, where it's just like, oh man, it's awesome to like be able to like have a character that you can use right away and not have to be like, oh, I gotta do this, that, and the other. Like with Honkai Star Rail, I'm spending like, if I pull the character and I get lucky enough, I'm gonna spend like a month, okay, no, like 2 to 3 weeks, okay, yeah, actually, yeah, like a month getting them online to being like peak performance, you know. And if it's not peak performance, it's like okay performance. This is like a lot faster. It's not peak performance, but it's still better than like garbage performance, you know. Like they're relatively usable right away, and you don't have to feel like you're super behind. And they are a character that you can like be able to use and not feel like you've kind of picked someone up that is dead weight, I guess. I like that they do service, by the way, and they always like do that to get your input on how things go and blah blah blah. So next portion, they've worked really hard on the changes and quality of life stuff that I feel like is worth noting. Like energy was like a big thing I have. They give you a decent amount of energy. I still have a lot of stock energy that you like get through like playing dailies and stuff like that, which is amazing. Again, like you can do your dailies and get through them pretty quickly. If you don't do your dailies, you can still do the stages in the same way. The craziest thing that I realized for the first rerun ever, this is the first rerun ever for Aether Gazer, where it's the Hell Banner. All of her things you can redo. I totally missed this the first time around, but that's awesome, you know? And so like that is really nice when it comes to like quality of life and bringing back old characters. But the other portion too is that like they are also willing to not revamp, but make older characters stronger. So to give you an idea, they call them modules, and I totally missed this, to be honest. But somebody who reached out to me on Discord kindly explained how the module system works, and it is super awesome. And I really, man, I like that a lot. But I like that you can just take an old character, put their module on them, and then they'll be able to like become stronger. Right, here we go. So you can go here, and you can see that if I add the module, that would make the character a lot stronger. And some of these go up like 1, 2, and sometimes like go from like tier 3 to tier 1, you know. And Scotty is somebody like I kind of mentioned, I saw on like the last tier list that did that. So that was awesome. Thank you, Shirviu. I appreciate that help for giving me that information. And kind of making note of like the difference in like having a module for a character and not having a module for the character, which brings me to my next point. Is also like new characters are super strong. If you pulled for Jin Woo as well as Ling Guang, you will be set for a long time. Even at the 3.1 tier list, these two are still tier 0, which is bonkers. And then if you add Gongshun or Gongshin with them, solid best in slot team for a while. So I think that's awesome, you know. Going into the combat, so I really like a couple things with the combat in itself. You know, I like that you can team build in multiple ways, like one of which is catering more to like the multiple alts. Like, you know, you can basically tailor a team to go into a battle because they have like alts that complement each other, right? So in this case, you can see that Ling Guang and Jin Woo have an ult together, right? You have these two, Azura and Bozembu. Oh no, what's her name? Oh my god, Zenkibo, who ult together. And sometimes there's even a 3-way ult. At some point in time, Bozenbu will come out, and Tsukuyomi and I think Azura, they will have a 3-way ult. I might be wrong though. You know what? Correct me if I'm wrong. Leave it in the chat. Or you can do it through gen zones. Like, so these are all the same. These are all Olympus here. And like there's a gen zone bonus, you know? And I think that's hella cool. I wish more games did that. I love combined ults. I love that every character does have an ult though. I think that's hella cool. You know, like what, like I know that some games, I'm not gonna say which one. Some games don't have ults, right? You can see here that Omega Poseidon, who's actually one of the healers that you get in the game at the beginning, has a double ult here and then a triple over here, right? And the triple ult is like kind of neat, you know? And I wish they did more stuff like that. The other thing too is that like you get to practice all of your characters just to learn them and whatever, you know, and that's great. And as you saw earlier, the semi-auto is just like a nice function. If I want to play, great, I'll play. If I don't have to play, I just got to do my dailies. I'll pick a team that's like whatever, and then I'll just throw them into something I need to do. I'll like wait, look away, come back, and then I'll just like it'll generally be done. The other bit of it that I really appreciate is that it's all 3 characters on the field. You know, they could have easily made it a 1 character thing, but they did it. They made it a 3 character thing. And in all fairness, the AI is pretty freaking good. Like oftentimes better than me, you know? And it's nice to have this party system feel. Like it's nice to see all the characters there. I mean, it can get pretty chaotic, but I kind of like that too. It makes it feel like, yes, I'm playing a single player game, but I have a full party. So when I like select my characters, sometimes I just want to see those characters fight. And because I think they're cool or whatever it is, but it's nice to pick a character that like I'll get to see, because like you work on them, right? Instead of like picking a character that just like buffs and then like you swap them back out, or you swap them in just because of what they do as soon as they enter combat. So the party system is awesome, and I like the way that it is and the way that they've done it. So I feel like at this point, just make the game full auto, you know, for real. Like, why not? AI is better than most players, and then you can just like tailor the auto to be better. I don't know. That's just me. Again, like y'all probably get an idea of what kind of gamer I am, and it's a little bit on the lazy side. Some people don't like it, but it works for me, you know, because the other part of gachas is that collecting part. All right, so let's get into let's get into the next bit of it, which is kind of related to combat, but it's also like the character the characters, the animation, the style, I do like it that it's not that like typical chibi style. You know what I mean? And by that, I think most people get an idea of where I'm coming from. It has its charms and stuff like that, but I like that the child characters look like children, the adults look like adults, you know, and I think that's great. Some other portions of it too are the fact that like the skins are for the game, some of them are free. Like Zenkibo here, you know, you just get this skin for getting the battle pass and whatnot and things like that. Not every character has skins, but it is what it is. It's also a really nice mix of like characters from ages to also husbandos and waifus. I think it's been alright so far. Primarily the waifus are stronger. Again, Jinwoo and Lingguang are both very strong. Some of the husbandos are okay, but not really. Anyway, but like the husbandos are hella cool. Like I really like Anubis. I think he's dope, along with Oceanus. I think Oceanus is hella cool. I love Fake Snake. Fake Snake is so dope. He's actually such a cool character. This guy who I like. There's always like, you know, I love his fighting style. I like so let's just run into a tutorial. I gotta do it anyway, right? His fighting style is like really cool, and the fact that like you can just use and like not have to worry about being super bad at the game like I am is nice, you know. Like I know that like there are ways for people to be able to like play the game in like a sweaty manner, you know what I mean? And by sweaty, and I think a lot of people mention it a lot, it's just like you can play it at like a super high level, you know. You can, for lack of a better word, just do it really well by being able to use no healers, and that's not me, you know. But like there are people who like can just go through a stage, no healers, pure DPS, take 0 damage, and you can do that in this game. There are some characters that are really hard to do that with, you know what I mean? And it's rewarding. But like even if you're not the best player, so aka like me, you can still feel like the game has something for you, you know, like it's not like a total waste, and like you can have fun with it, because like games that get too punishing, they aren't that fun, you know. Now the party system, again, like just to bring it up, it's nice to have that party system because they also kind of fill in the gaps of where you might not be the best player, you know what I mean? The damage, the bosses do get like lots of HP at some point in time, but when you are playing with your party as a whole, sometimes you can take a supportive role, and sometimes you can not. You need to be a part of the DPS if you're really good on your rotations, your skill usage, and stuff like that. So it's great, you know. Again, skill-based game, forgiving for those who aren't super great at it, and you can rely on the AI. Like that's kind of nice, you know. There's no PvP in this. God, I hope there isn't anytime soon. But if there is, I'd imagine it would be crazy to see, you know, a 3v3. Like that'd be nuts. It'd probably be like a 1v1, I feel, and then you pick like whatever character you're super good at. And then again, the ult animations, you know, double, triple, by themselves. It's awesome. Okay, let's go into content. There is always something to do. I feel like they've done an amazing job looping in content and doubling up, right? And it's well paced. Like they don't just give it to you all at the same time. That's where I like Honkai Star Rail. But some other places will be like, here's the entire kit, now you gotta farm when you're at the back end of it, you know. No, they do it out in phases, and that's pretty nice. Like to be able to do that, and there's like different mini games that come with it too, so it makes it super easy to digest. And super easy to navigate. I don't have to walk anywhere to do anything. Don't get me wrong. Listen, I know exploration is a great part of world building. Again, I just don't have the time for it. So I like going through my clicky stages, doing my like little mini games, having the story kind of thrown out at me. So in this case, it's all going to be tower defense, which the first time was hard. The second time, I'd imagine, is going to be harder. So it makes it super easy to navigate, super easy to digest, and it doesn't make the world any smaller. It actually makes the world even bigger because I feel like I'm getting more content sooner without going through the hassle of like walking, you know? Because I don't enjoy open world collectibles. Like, oh, you gotta like go over here in this like very obscure place, and this is where you find that one chest that has like $1, you know? And it's just like, what is the no? That's not for me, man. Like, you know, I know there are like people who love games like those, but again, like I don't have time to dedicate to like, you know, to be able to sit there and just like walk around and look for things. And as much as I used to love games like those, like the reality is I just don't have time for it, and it sucks to be honest. It really does. But I also love my life, so it's kind of like, yeah, man, I don't mind going out and touching grass. So that's kind of like the best part. So right now we're on like a double, so like I got a lot of stuff that I gotta run through, but it's great. So okay, let's talk about what makes it different then at this point, right? So like I've gone through characters, combat, again, how this game works for me primarily, what I like about it from my perspective, and again, why this game fits my lifestyle. Where do I feel like it is different, right? The 3-character party system. I don't know how a game like Aether Gazer can do this, and it is not done anywhere else, but I feel like other games can probably learn from this, because it's sick to see all of your characters on the field attacking with you and stuff, you know? And that's why I love Honkai Star Rail. All your characters are there on the field and you're using them all. Like, even though it's turn-based, it still feels like a nice party system, and I enjoy that. So it feels like, for me, Aether Gazer is just in its own space, you know? So because it has unique things like the mini games that come with the content, the characters that look very different from like the current games that are out there, and then I'd probably say Wuthering Waves is gonna be like the next one that'll be super close, but I feel like it's a nice blend, you know? Like, all the characters, as you go through the story, you get a better idea of like what they're about, why they look the way they look, why they like, you know, why they're doing their attire is the way that it is. I just think Aether Gazer is going to be in a good spot. So to the question, right, that I said in the beginning, will Aether Gazer survive? I think personally, yeah, absolutely. It's got some amazing quality of life that a lot of people appreciate. You know, the fact that the dailies are super fast, the content has been really interesting, the world building is interesting, story has been pretty decent. I mean, no one's playing for stories mostly. The characters are super awesome, the skills are amazing. Dev team is like always working on finding ways to improve, make things a little bit different. There's always something that's like a little bit spicy that comes in too, and like that's really nice. So the best part is that it's an easy game, and you can make this your side game or your main game, because there's enough stuff to make it your main game. You can get super deep into it. You can start going into the RNG roles, and you can make the perfect character with the maximum output, which I see all the time in Reddit. People achieving these crazy milestones by like min-maxing out all of the stats in their enchantments and their warps, stuff like that, making like the craziest party that does the most amount of damage. You can get sweaty with this game. You can make it your main game, and I don't think you'll run short of things to do. Like, yes, you can consume it all, but you would still have to wait for the next batch. And they tell you to, like, you know, like, you'll have to wait this amount of time to do it next, you know? So that's awesome. Or you're like me, you do play a lot of gacha games, and you really want to play an action RPG that is like easy to do. And again, going through like some of the side games, like racing or tap tap or the current cooking one and like all these other things are nice, and it's just cool because it's like a totally different game than everything else that I have. Not to mention that the UI is a lot nicer and easier to navigate, right? No walking. Like you can digest the story without having to waste time walking from to speak to one person to speak to another person. And there are in-game cinematics, you know, that tell that story and make it easier for you. So I like it. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere, and I don't think it will be so heavily affected by any of the games that are going to be released this year. For people like me, again, for me, I think I will always lean into Aether Gazer because it's got that action aspect, and be able to like keep me engaged in the game, keep me excited for new characters and new things coming out, and kind of keep me on my toes, you know, where like it's also made easy for me to stay engaged and stay playing. So that's it. Let me know what you guys think. I'm still gonna go ahead and probably touch on all the 3 games that I mentioned that are kind of like hovering around in the AG universe, or the AG gacha space. But you know, I'm curious as to what y'all think. Please comment down below if you liked the video. Please like, please subscribe, join the Discord, give me a chat up, and that's kind of it. Thank you so much, and have a great night, guys.